The humans are coming through! Seal the breach! Seal the breach! That was First Commander Vox Nara, practically shrieking into his comm unit while his forearms flailed in what our kind universally recognizes as sheer panic. I had never seen a high-ranking Centurion unravel like that before. In human terms, you might call it a very bad day at the office. I should introduce myself. I'm Senior Science Officer Zulapax of the Galactic Confederation, and I'm here to explain how our supposedly superior civilization made the greatest blunder in our 12,000-year history. We opened a wormhole to Earth, and then we begged them to close it. Funny how the universe has a sense of humor, isn't it? Orbital cycles ago, the Confederation Council approved something they grandly named the Sentinel Project. Its purpose? To locate primitive civilizations, we could observe, record, and, if deemed worthy, shepherd into a proper role within galactic society. Typical bureaucratic drivel wrapped in the pretense of scientific curiosity. My team's assignment was to chart unexplored territory in Sector 7, roughly 2,400 light-years from Confederation space. Nobody expected anything remarkable. It was supposed to be routine. Map a few stars, log some lifeless worlds, collect my research credits, and move on to work that actually interested me. Then we found it, an anomaly in the quantum foam. A natural wormhole, just waiting for someone, clever enough to stabilize it. Captain Jarek, I said as I stepped onto the bridge of our research vessel, Astral Seeker. These readings are unprecedented. This wormhole could be stabilized with almost no energy expenditure. Captain Jarek, a tall, slender Proxian, turned to face me. With violet skin that shimmered in shifting bioluminescent patterns whenever curiosity took hold, he turned all, 3 eyes toward me. Where does it lead, Senior Officer Pax? I glanced at my datapad. A solar system with 8 planets. The third from the star shows clear signs of civilization. Primitive tech so far, mostly radio transmissions and basic satellites, perfect for the Sentinel Project. Jarek's skin pulsed a bright, eager purple. Excellent. Prepare the stabilization array. Let's make history. If only we'd known what kind of history we were about to create. The stabilization process took 3 full days. Our team working in continuous shifts, coaxing and shaping quantum particles until the wormhole's mouth widened enough for a scout vessel. Energy readings remained steady. The connection was solid. Everything aligned with protocol. Scout ship Luminous Wind, you are cleared for transit, Captain Jarek announced over comms. Proceed with caution and maintain constant contact. The helm of the scout was Lieutenant Dex Orvin, a talented young pilot whose confidence always outweighed his caution. With a flash of blue light, his vessel slipped into the wormhole. Transit successful? Dex's voice crackled over the speakers after a tense half-minute. Emerging on the other side now, visual confirmation of the third planet. It's blue. Lots of water. Continents visible. Atmosphere readings compatible with most Confederation species. Standard stuff so far. Nothing unusual. Dex reported smoothly. I'm also detecting artificial satellites, primitive designs, nothing impressive. He paused. Wait. Something's approaching my position. Fast. Very fast. Captain Jarek leaned in toward the comms. Describe it, Lieutenant. Small craft, Dex replied after a beat. Maybe a tenth the size of Luminous Wind, but closing the distance like size of Luminous Wind. No visible propulsion system that I can... Wait, they're hailing me, using basic radio waves. Should I respond? Here's where we made our first mistake. Captain Jarek, ever the diplomat, nodded. Establish contact. Use first contact protocols. Remember, they're primitives, Lieutenant, and be gentle. I watched as Dex activated our universal translator, fully expecting this to be a historic moment of awe and wonder for whatever simple species we'd stumbled upon. To facilitate peaceful contact, Dex finished, his voice steady, but his bioluminescent markings betraying his unease. There was another pause on the human channel, longer this time, heavier. "Lieutenant Orvin," Captain Patel said finally, her tone sharp but controlled. "You will power down your drives and maintain position. You are to be escorted to a secure docking point for inspection. Failure to comply will be considered a hostile act." Hostile act? This was escalating far faster than any first contact briefing had prepared us for. Captain Jarek's skin dimmed to a worried blue. "Senior Officer Zulapax," he murmured. "These humans were supposed to be centuries away from quantum displacement technology. If they can detect our drives, they're far more advanced than your scans indicated." I could only nod, my appendages curling in a nervous reflex. Something was very wrong here. We had come expecting curiosity and awe. Instead, we had found suspicion, and the quiet, dangerous confidence of a species that knew exactly what it was capable of, a blur of panic and static-laced shouting. "Engines at maximum!" Dex barked, his hands flying over the controls. The inertial dampeners groaned under the sudden surge. "2 more contacts closing in fast. Interceptor class!" the sensor officer called out, his voice cracking. "They're vectoring to cut us off from the wormhole. Evasive pattern Delta 7, Jarek snapped. The luminous wind rolled hard, narrowly avoiding a burst of energy fire that lit up our aft shields. I clung to the nearest safety rail, my datapad clattering to the floor. Every reading screamed the same thing. Our ship was outmatched. The Yates human vessels weren't just keeping up. They were anticipating Dex's moves like predators herding prey. They're locking weapons, shields holding barely. A bone-rattling impact threw us sideways. Warnings blared in 3 languages. "Structural damage, Dex 4 through 6, someone yelled. The wormhole was in sight now, swirling like a luminous whirlpool of salvation and disaster all at once. Dex gunned the thrusters. Almost there. And that's when the humans did something we hadn't seen in 12,000 years of galactic exploration. They disabled the wormhole. One moment it was there, stable, humming, a perfect gateway home. The next, it collapsed in a silent implosion, leaving only cold, empty space between us and safety. "Decisions at this level," Captain Patel said, her voice steady but edged with authority. "My orders are to secure the breach, contain the situation, and prevent any further incursion into Earth-controlled space." The words "contain the situation" did not sound like an invitation. Jarek's frilled crest twitched in visible discomfort. "Captain Patel, we are willing to cooperate fully." "Good," she interrupted. "Then power down your drives lower. Your shields, and prepare to receive an EDF boarding team." That was when the bridge fell silent. Every Confederation officer knew what that meant. Once an armed party was aboard, they could take anything. Sensor data, wormhole schematics, personal logs. The Council would brand it a security catastrophe. Dex glanced toward Jarek, speaking in a low voice. "Captain, if they get our wormhole stabilization data, they'll know how to open one anywhere." "And if we refuse?" Jarek asked. Patel must have been listening, because her reply came a second later, cool and unshaken. "If you refuse, Captain, I have standing orders to disable your ship and retrieve the data by force." For a long moment, Jarek didn't answer. The hum of the Astral Seeker's systems filled the gap. I could almost feel the gravity of the moment. 2 civilizations staring each other down, one expecting dominance, the other revealing it already had the upper hand. "Captain," I said quietly, "you might want to consider the fact they just followed us through a natural wormhole we thought was unrepeatable. We may not be the advanced side here." Jarek's eyes narrowed. The decision was his. But whatever choice he made, the galaxy was about to change. The wormhole shimmered like a wound in space, its edges rippling with contained chaos. 6 hours had never passed so slowly. Every minute, the Astral Seeker's crew checked and rechecked systems, as if one faulty circuit might be interpreted as hostile intent. When the EDF diplomatic vessel emerged, it did so with the quiet confidence of a predator that didn't need to bare its teeth. Sleek, black-hulled, with faint blue tracer lines along its flanks, it slid into our space as though it owned it. "They're broadcasting identification codes," Lieutenant Toller reported, his scowl deepening. "And, Captain, they're encrypted. I can't read them." "That," Jarek muttered, "is not reassuring." A moment later, the comm system came alive again. A new voice, smoother than Patel's, spoke in perfect Confederation standard. "This is Ambassador Elias Vance of the Earth Defense Force Diplomatic Corps. Captain Jarek, thank you for your patience. We have much to discuss." I glanced at Jarek. The ambassador's tone didn't sound hostile, but it also didn't sound like he was here to make friends. "Ambassador Vance," Jarek replied, his voice even. "On behalf of the Confederation, we welcome you. Our mission is scientific in nature, and we—" "Yes," Vance interrupted politely. "So I've been told. Nevertheless, you've created a direct and stable gateway to our system. That alone is cause for concern. I am here to determine whether that gateway will be closed by your people." He paused, letting the implications settle. "Or by ours," Lieutenant Toller muttered under his breath. I don't like how he said by ours. The ambassador's image sharpened on the display, his gaze steady. "Captain, let's begin our conversation in person. My team will board your vessel shortly." The line went dead. "Captain," I said, "do you want me to prepare the diplomatic reception protocol?" Jarek's skin flashed a nervous Y. We shared our respective technological achievements. Earth has a complicated history when we developed faster than light travel. 70 years ago, we also detected signals suggesting we weren't alone in the galaxy. Rather than announcing ourselves, we chose observation over participation. But why, I asked, genuinely curious. The Confederation could offer so much knowledge, so many opportunities for advancement. Professor Bennett chuckled. Officer Pack's human literature has been speculating about first contact scenarios for centuries. In most of those scenarios, the more technologically advanced civilization doesn't have the best interests of the less advanced one at heart. We decided to advance on our own terms, at our own pace, until we felt ready for galactic society. And are you ready now? Captain Jarek asked Ambassador. Reed's expression turned serious. That, Captain, is the question we now face. Because of your actions, you have forced our hand. The wormhole you have created represents a direct security threat to Earth. We cannot allow it to remain open-closing. It would require significant energy. I pointed out energy that could be better used, establishing proper diplomatic channels between our civilizations. Reed shook his head. That's not how Earth operates. Officer Pax, we prefer controlled gradual integration. This wormhole is too much too soon. It must be closed. That was when our sensors detected Tellurian pirates' approach, something that would change everything. Captain Lieutenant Toller called out, his voice urgent. Multiple vessels approaching from Sector 9. Tellurian signatures. Everyone on the bridge froze. The Turans were not members of the Confederation. They were raiders, pirates who preyed on the edges of civilized space. And now they were heading straight for us. Ambassador Reed's eyes narrowed. "Friends of yours, Captain Jarek?" "Absolutely not," Jarek said, his skin flashing warning patterns. "The tones are hostile. To all Confederation species, they must have detected the wormhole energy signature, and now they are coming to investigate." Reed finished. How convenient. I could see the diplomatic situation deteriorating by the second ambassador. "I assure you this is not part of any plan. He Turans represent a threat to all of us." Reed exchanged glances. "With his team, perhaps, or perhaps this is an elaborate ruse to force Earth into a defensive alliance. Either way, Captain Patel's vessel isn't equipped to handle multiple hostile ships. Neither is the Astral Seeker. Jarek admitted we are a research vessel, not a warship. For a moment, tension hung in the air like a physical presence. Then Reed made a decision. Wong contact Earth Command, inform them of the situation, and request immediate reinforcement through the Wormhole Professor Bennett. You will return to our ship with one of my security team, Captain Jarek's. I suggest you prepare your vessel for possible hostile action. And just like that, a simple scientific mission had turned into the prelude to what might become the first interseas battle in Confederation history, all because we thought we were meeting primitives and instead found humans. The Taurians were coming. The humans were calling reinforcements, and we were caught in the middle, wondering how a routine exploration had gone. So catastrophically wrong. Have you ever had that moment when you realize you have stepped on a quantum mine, and any move you make will blow up in your face? That was us caught between approaching Toan raiders and increasingly suspicious humans. But the Taurans, for those fortunate enough never to have encountered them, resembled 2-meter-tall praying mantises with an extra set of limbs and armor plating. They are known for 3 things: their speed, their advanced weapons technology, and their absolute lack of mercy. Not exactly the neighbors you want showing up uninvited 7 till vessels approaching Lieutenant Toller announced, his natural armor plates clicking nervously, attack formation weapons. Hot Captain Jax's skin flickered between alarmed, purple and resigned blue. How long until they are in weapons range? Approximately 12 minutes. Captain Ambassador Reed stepped forward, his face a mask of controlled anger. Captain Jarek, I find it difficult to believe this is a coincidence. First you open an unauthorized wormhole to Earth, then a hostile force just happens to appear. I understand your suspicion, Ambassador Jarek replied, but I assure you we want nothing to do with the Tellurans. They raid our colonies, attack our ships. They are a plague on this sector. I decided to intervene before diplomatic relations deteriorated beyond repair. But Ambassador Reed, our sensors detected the Taurans coming from Sector 9. That's the battle strategies and defense plans, opposite direction from Confederation space. They couldn't possibly have been alerted by anyone from our government. Reed studied me for a moment, those keen human eyes seeming to look straight through my exoskeleton. Perhaps this is an elaborate setup to test our military capabilities. Dr. Wong, the human scientific advisor, had been quietly analyzing our sensor data. She looked up from her portable device. The ambassador, the Turan energy signatures match known pirate clans from our deep space monitoring network. These appear to be opportunistic raiders, not an organized military force, but that got my attention. You have been monitoring Toan movements from Earth. Wong smiled. Lightly, Officer Pax, we have been monitoring everything within 50 light years of our solar system. For decades, the Turans have raided 3 non-aligned worlds in this sector. In the past year alone, Captain Jarek looked stunned. The Confederation was unaware of these raids. This is beyond the range of our regular patrols, which is precisely why the Turans operate here. Reed said, his tone softening slightly, and why Earth maintains its policy of observation without engagement. We have learned much about the galaxy without revealing ourselves. Our conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant Tolar, captain the Toan vessels. Are hailing us. Jarek hesitated, then nodded. Put them through the main view screen, flickered, revealing the chitinous face of a Toan commander. Its compound eyes gleamed with cold intelligence, mandibles clicking in what I recognized as Amusement Federation vessel. The Turan said, its translator rendering the clicks and hisses into understandable speech. How fortunate to find you so far from your protected space. And what is this, a stable wormhole, the most valuable prize? Jarek stepped forward. This is Captain Jarek, of the Confederation research vessel Astral Seeker. The wormhole is under Confederation protection. Retreat immediately. The Toan's mandibles clicked rapidly, their version of laughter protection. I count 1 research vessel with minimal armaments. The wormhole is no property of the Turan Dominion, prepared to be boarded. The transmission cut off abruptly. Well, Ambassador Reed said dryly, at least we can agree they're not your friends. 8 minutes until they are in weapons range. Toller reported, Captain. The Astral Seeker cannot withstand a direct assault from 7 Tone Raiders. Jarek's turned to Reed. Ambassador, what's the status of your reinforcements? Reed touched his communication device. Earth Command confirms defensive vessels are preparing. To transit the wormhole, the ETA approximately 15 minutes too late. Jarek said, his skin fading to a pale blue. The Turans will reach us first. Reed's expression hardened. Then it seems we face our first joint crisis. Captain Patel's interceptor has limited combat capabilities, but combined with your defenses, we might hold them off until reinforcements arrive and trap Captain Patel and myself on this side. Reed shook his head. Not acceptable. Besides, closing a stabilized wormhole requires time. Time we don't have. Then we fight. Jarek's decided Lieutenant Tolar coordinate defensive strategies with Captain Patel. We need to buy those 15 minutes. What followed was a crash course in human military tactics Captain Patel's interceptor might have. Looked small compared to our research vessel, but its maneuverability and weapon systems were nothing short of impressive. Within minutes, she and Tolar had devised a defensive strategy that might actually give us a chance. We will use the Astral Seekers, superior shield capacity as a fixed defensive position near the wormhole. Patel explained holographic image hovering over our tactical display. My interceptor will run interference, targeting their propulsion systems to reduce their mobility. Jarek nodded, a sound strategy Captain Patel, the Astral Seeker, will provide. Covering fire. Reed placed a hand on Jarek's shoulder. Captain, my security team is trained for space combat. With your permission, they will help coordinate your crew's defensive efforts. It was a gesture of trust that wasn't lost on anyone present. Jarek's skin flashed grateful patterns. Permission. Granted, Ambassador, we welcome their expertise. Turan vessels entering weapons. Range in 60 seconds. Tolar announced. The next few minutes were organized. Chaos human security personnel integrated with our defense teams, bringing combat experience our scientific crew sorely lacked. Captain Patel's interceptor took position in front of the Astral Seeker, its engines glowing with barely. Captain Patel's sacrifice contained energy. All hands battle stations. Jax ordered. This is not a drill. Prepare for imminent hostile action. I found myself working alongside Dr. Wang at the sensor station, both of us monitoring the approaching Turan ships, I must say, Dr. Wang remarked as her fingers danced across our control panel with surprising familiarity. This is not how I imagined first contact would go. I managed a nervous laugh. Nor, though I'm beginning to think humans might be more similar to us than our initial scans suggested. Wang's eyes never left the display. Officer Pax, if there's one constant we have observed across the galaxy, it's that life finds a way to be both wonderfully diverse and surprisingly familiar. The question is whether that familiarity breeds cooperation or conflict tones opening fire. Tolar shouted, cutting our philosophical disc.